Yeah, we have Mr. Siva Devireddy, the founder of GoSwadeshi. You could speak about a sustainable handloom story. How do you empower rural entrepreneurs?
Hi everyone. Very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Siva Devireddy, founder of GoSwadeshi by GoCoop. I'll explain what we do as an organization, as a business. But before that, a little bit about myself. I graduated from Osmania University. I did my master's from Arizona State back in 2000. I worked in the Bay Area for Hewlett Packard and then subsequently for Accenture. After spending 12 years in corporate, I wanted to do something which actually has some social impact. That was my passion since I was in my college days. And that's what led me to starting GoCoop as an organization. So before I introduce what GoCoop does, let me ask you a question, right? How many of you are familiar with the whole Prada thing which happened recently? Anybody have heard of Prada? What was the issue with Prada? Kolhapuri chappal, right? Yeah. So they did a design which was like 100% Kolhapuri, right? I mean, that's what anybody would know, right? That's a 100% Kolhapuri design. And do you know what price they were selling that product for? Any guess? Yeah, it is a lakh and half. Lakh and half. So 150,000 rupees. You know how much a Kolhapuri chappal costs generally? Yeah, maybe maximum a good 1,000. You have a range, right? So 1,000. So that's exactly the problem that I thought needs to be addressed when I started GoSwadeshi, right? So India, I think some of you may be aware, may not be aware, is home to some of the finest textiles in the world, right? And these textiles are not something discovered in the last 200 or 300 years. So if you go back to history, the pyramids of Giza, which are supposed to be 3,000 to 5,000 years old, pyramids of Giza have textiles from Gujarat, Ajrak textiles from Gujarat. So imagine Gujarat textiles traveling all the way to pyramids of Giza, and they are in the tombs of some of these pharaohs, right? So these are the textiles which are world famous thousands of years ago. The Chinese came to India for our silks. The Romans came to India for a fabric called muslin. Again, some of you may be very familiar. There's a term called muslin which is very widely used, right? So I'm wearing a shirt which is also muslin, by the way. It's a very fine cotton which is produced only in certain parts of this country because you need to have a certain moisture in the air to make muslin. Otherwise, the thread will break. So it can only be done closer to the coast where the moisture in the air is very high. So this is the history of India's craft and craft traditions. Another interesting fact is there are more than 10 million artisans in India, and the handmade textile sector is the second largest source of livelihood in India after agriculture. So agriculture is the largest, so almost 50% of people still are employed with agriculture. The second largest source of employment is handloom textiles. Any idea what is the average income that an artisan makes? And you have to be very skilled to make fabric like this, right? This is all made in hand. So to make something like this, and I think, sorry to draw a comparison with software programmers because I'm myself an engineer, right? So you could learn a language in like 6 months, right? Mostly programming languages you can learn in 6 months or a year. You could become an engineer in 4 years, right? But to learn how to craft these textiles takes a lifetime. You'll take 10 years, 12 years. You have to learn as part of your family upbringing to learn how to craft and create these handmade textiles. So with that kind of skill, what's the average, do you think the daily way or whatever livelihood of an artisan would be? Any guess? 10,000 a day? 10,000 a day would be good, but I know a lot of programmers who are making 10,000 a day or more. But yeah, 200 was somebody's guess, right? Yeah, 300. Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, definitely, Ram. Yeah. So that's good. So see the average, right? 60% of artisans make less than 200 rupees a day, right? So that's less than $3 a day, right? So that's less than what you pay for Starbucks coffee in most cases. So that's the problem that we set out to solve, right? One is there is global demand for handmade textiles. We saw that very clearly with what Prada has done, what Gucci has been doing. There's so many global brands which use Indian textiles. These are really sought after. And on the other side, you have 10 million artisans who are struggling to have a meaningful livelihood, right? And the biggest problem these artisan communities were facing is access to market. Like they're so underrepresented, right? So for example, how many of you are from Hyderabad, born and brought up in Hyderabad or from Hyderabad? Okay, so can you name me 2 handloom clusters near Hyderabad? Pochampalli, very good. I think that's a good, very good response. Anything else? Any other cluster? Venkatagiri is a little far, ma'am, but yeah. Sirsilla is also a cluster. It's near Karimnagar, but something very close to Hyderabad is a place called Koyalgudam. So Koyalgudam is also in the vicinity of Pochampalli. It's a very old cluster. In fact, the cooperative in Koyalgudam was started in 1947. So that's the oldest, one of the oldest cooperatives in Telangana. So these textiles are not well represented, right? Not many people know about these textiles. So the objective was to see how we can create more awareness of these textiles, and not only the textiles, but also the artisans who make these textiles, right? So the idea was, can we bring these community of artisans together, maybe in a certain way. I think we try to do what Karan is trying to do for startups. But these are very underrepresented artisans, right? So we are trying to bring them together and connect them with markets. I mean, especially with global markets. So that's in short what GoSwadeshi does. It's a platform for artisans where artisans can come, list their products, and then we take these products to customers not only in India but outside India through our platform. We have trained over the last, our journey has been more than 12 years. We have trained close to 4,600 artisan entrepreneurs and cooperatives in the last 12 years. It's been an effort where we traveled to more than 22 states in India. We started off in Hyderabad and in Karnataka, in Telangana and Karnataka. At that time it was Andhra, it was a combined state, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, and then we spread to 22 states across the last 12 years. We have, as of today, we have 2.5 lakh customers on the platform, 257,000 customers on the platform. We have processed 350,000 orders on the platform so far over the last 12 years. And we were also very fortunate to be recognized as a first national award winner for handloom marketing by Government of India. We've also been recognized. We were also recognized as a champion of change by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. And we are a Harvard business case study. That's a short introduction about us.
I'm Amisha, and my background is from NIFT Hyderabad, and I also studied in Milan, Italy. So I see a difference in the fashion product displayed in Europe and in India. I feel that Indian fashion entrepreneurs don't risk their products much. We don't invest enough and take that risk, but once, like if somebody from Europe or Western country take that risk of displaying Kolhapuri chappals like abroad on a fashion runway, then we come back and we complain. I think if Indian fashion entrepreneurs who get the platform of showcasing abroad, they are not taking that enough risk, then why do we cry?
Great question, right? Especially Indian designers or entrepreneurs don't take that risk of representing our own textiles or craft. And why do we complain if a Prada does it, right? That's a question. That's a great question. Thanks for asking that question, right? So the problem is with our designers or is it with our consumers, right? If we like to flaunt Gucci's of the world, Coaches or whatever, right? I mean, I don't even know how to pronounce them. Sorry if I'm pronouncing them incorrectly. But all this Louis Vuittons and Gucci's of the world, I think we are so happy just, sporting them and flaunting them, right? But how often do you find yourself flaunting a Ponduru Khadi, right? Or a Pochampalli Ikkat, right? We don't. So the problem is not so much with entrepreneurs, but the problem is more awareness, right? I think people should be comfortable in our own skin, right? And these are textiles like what Karan, these are textiles which are designed for Indian tropical climate, right? So this is doesn't require an AC what I'm wearing. This is like actually AC inside this, if I can say so, right? It's so comfortable for our climate. So that's what I think is the change we need to bring, right? That's why GoSwadeshi is more like a call for action. You know, can we adopt our own textiles? Can we adopt our own, crafts? And in a small way, I'm not saying you totally discard your wardrobe, but when that consumer awareness happens and when there is change happening, more and more designers will be happy to do this. We have worked extensively with brands like Anita Dongre. I think it's a premium brand. Anita Dongre, we worked with Aditya Birla, we worked with Raymond's. I think all of them have tried different initiatives, but it's very difficult to make it commercially work in India, right? And when a Prada or even for that matter, right, Tommy Bahama, we did one small program for Tommy Bahama, right? So it's a normal shirt. Now this shirt in India, if I say this shirt will cost, this is pure muslin, it's our own brand called the Handloom. And if I say that this shirt is going to cost 3,000 rupees, I don't think so many people will be comfortable with even 3,000 rupees, right? They may find it expensive. They may feel that this is so irregular, right? Maintenance will be difficult of this shirt. Tommy Bahama took fabrics from us. They made a shirt which was $150, right? So that's the difference. The consumer there is willing to pay. Our khadi towel that we sell in India, in normal khadi stores, for 300 rupees, people will not buy a khadi towel in India, right? You want to buy that very nice, in fact, if you say this is Turkey hammam, right? Turkish hammam, people will spend 3,000 rupees on that towel. But if you say it's Indian khadi towel, we'll not spend 300 rupees on that towel, right? But Indian khadi towels are being retailed for $75 in US, right? So that's almost 6,000 rupees. So that's the difference, right? I think in US or in Europe, I think, and maybe, even Ram can add, right? The social consciousness is more, right? There is a lot more focus on sustainability. People are happy to spend a little bit more on handmade products than what it is in India. But that's changing. In the last 12 years, what we have seen, we just concluded our event in Banjara Hills, road number 12, and it was packed. I mean, people were just thronging, right? I mean, like it was so busy this time, it was really good. So there is more awareness, people are coming forward, and we must thank all the women customers, right? So 85% of our consumers are women who buy these beautiful fabrics, dress materials and saris. So I think going forward, more designers and more entrepreneurs, I think we'll start experimenting more with Indian textiles and crafts.
Are you also going global? Are you? Do you also export your products? Which of the global markets you think are interested in Indian products?
Yeah. So we are an online platform, Vinay, right? So we export to close to 20 plus countries, 22 countries now. But yeah, I can't say the volumes are significant. India is still 70% of our business. 30% of our business is export. And US is our biggest market. And it's mostly the Indian diaspora in the US which buys our products. But in Europe, we have a lot of customers who buy our products who are non-Indian. Like people who buy saris and convert them into drapes in Europe, right? They buy pure silk saris and convert them into drapes in France. We have a couple of good sustainable fashion designers in Germany who we supply fabrics to. The muslin fabric is very popular in Europe, right? Jamdani, muslin Jamdani fabric. Then we have a very interesting customer. It's a designer in Europe called Terence. She is a designer for Michelle Obama. So she bought a lot of Sambalpuri Ikkat fabrics, and these are converted into dresses for Mrs. Obama. So a lot of these things happen, right? I mean, not in big way, but this is very encouraging, and it's very, there is a ray of hope that, if somebody like is buying fabrics and, the former president or first lady is wearing these fabrics, I think there is hope for the Indian artisans.
So I come from a venture capital space, so I have two questions from creation and consumption. So in terms of creation, so my father always used to prefer any other foreign brand to Khadi. My father always preferred to Khadi in my childhood, but I don't usually understand why he's preferring that. Maybe it's from Gandhi revolution, I don't think so. But after few years, I always have that in my mind that I always need to be in Indian traditional clothes, like buying khadi or having that punch dhoti or something. So I try to, in marriages or in any kind of events, I try to wear that. But it became such a kind of shame that so many people ask me that why are you wearing that? Why can't you wear a three-piece suit? But it doesn't make me sense that. So in terms of creation, how do we make this kind of Go Swadeshi a movement, like a movement that can grow global, like Elon Musk for Go Swadeshi or Khadi clothes? Why can't we make that? And in terms of consumption, so today also I saw two guests appearing in the some kind of panch dhoti. It represents a soft power of what Indians are stand for. So how do we go about that in terms of creation and consumption?
So see I want to keep it very simple, right? The change starts from us, right? So, and to be honest, this last 10 years has been a revival of sorts, right? We have seen this. The biggest brand ambassador, irrespective of our political, alignment or whatever, right? When one of the biggest brand ambassadors of Indian handlooms is Mr. Modi, right? Is our Prime Minister himself, right? I think he's been sporting khadi, he's been sporting handlooms. He started, I wear khadi. So the government started I wear khadi. So there's been a lot of, at least effort to make it more popular, right, amongst people. So that's the first thing, right? I think you should not feel concerned about wearing it, right? So the good part, as I said, is we should be comfortable in our own skin, right? So if I'm wearing a khadi, and by the way, I also run a IT, a technology company for supply chain management, right? So I do go to like a mainstream Fortune 100 company. I sit in front of their like VP technology, right? And I'm very comfortable wearing what I'm wearing, right? And the good part is he'll ask, what are you wearing? And I'll tell the story, what this is, right? Where is this coming from? Actually, that makes a big impression on people, right? What you're wearing, if it's different, if it's little unique, right? And you have a story about it, it actually helps you in general. So that's the first thing. We should be comfortable wearing what we are, our own textiles. The second thing about building the brand and building the awareness, I think it's a long process. I think government has done some part of it. There's a lot more the government can do. In fact, as part of Champion of Change program, we were asked to submit a proposal to the government on what needs to be done for the handmade sector. We made a 12-page proposal saying that government should promote something called as handmade in India, right? Like make in India, handmade in India, right? This is it's not very expensive, right? If you start promoting campaigns like that, India has 95% of the world's handloom weavers right now, 95%. There is no other country which has such a big base. So we have to promote this, right? So there's a lot more which can be done to promote it. So I think that's my answer. So I think if we can start small from all of us, some of these initiatives will take time, but gradually I think there should be more adoption, and the intent is that it should become like a wave, right, of sort, where people start adopting this at a much more rapid pace.
No, I'm Prasad. No, you have touched upon and already reflected that it's something positive is happening in the country, like they want to make in India, and the intention is very, very good. That's very clear. Like when it comes to khadi and all, everybody knows about it. You don't have to. So the one district, one product, for example, is something very, very, a new idea. I mean, so in fact, states like Uttar Pradesh and I heard about Vizag. When he came to Vizag, Modi was saying. So maybe you can just reflect on that also.
Yeah, I think a quick response on that, right? So again, Government of India started ODOP, One District, One Product. It's a flagship initiative by Government of India. A lot of funding has gone into this. So they are trying to build certain crafts in one district. So one district, one craft. Basically, that's the idea. I think it has got good traction. What we have seen, especially in Uttar Pradesh, I think there's been a lot of success stories. But again, sir, I think my humble suggestion or submission to the government or in general is, there's a lot more we can do in terms of branding these products, right? That is what is missing. So more we brand, people will feel more comfortable wearing these products. So that's what I would say. The branding part is still missing.
So I just wanted to give an example or encounter which I recently had. So I stay in Seattle. I also shuttle between Hyderabad and Seattle. So I know the global markets as well. So that Prada thing, I was thinking, okay, Prada was able to create a brand which had a value for it. So how can Indian founders or Indian people can create a brand where we can sell the value? In the sense, I see Indians say that, okay, the same thing which we get for 100,000 rupees. But I say, okay, we should also learn how to sell our product globally and how can we bring a value out of it. So that's where my question is, like, how can Indian founders bring value when we are selling a product? It can be a khadi, it can be anything.
Sure,
How can
we'll
we
take the second question.
Evening, sir. So, regarding the global platforms like Met Gala, recently we have seen Diljit Dosanjh have represented Punjabi culture and Sikh identity, and he also made the history of wearing a first Indian to wear a turban man. So, how can these platforms can be leveraged to protect and promote Indian handlooms and traditional craftsmanship by through celebrity endorsements or celebrity representation in this global fashion stage?
On the platforms, I think I completely agree that platforms can play a big role in building these organizations, right, and brands. And today I see a lot of entrepreneurs. GoCop was like little bit, started little early, right? Amazon was not there in India when GoCop started. So e-commerce was still very nascent when we started in 2011. So, but in today's day and age, social media will play a big role, like especially Instagram, storytelling is of paramount importance. And not only entrepreneurs, but we see a lot of artisans, right, who are not even very educated, but they are able to use WhatsApp and Instagram very effectively. And that's the power of these platforms, that can play a very important role. Without even a website, without even a shop, people are able to create good market for their products just through these platforms.